Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Are you an accuser? That's the question. Are you becoming an accuser? Have you allowed the system around you and the influence of the false prophet media consuming the false prophet media's content? Have you allowed it to turn you into someone who is constantly accusing someone or something for all of the problems in the world? Those problems as well usually being set up beforehand to become scapegoats for you to blame. Scapegoats that the false prophet media created. Do you blame, for example, the immigrants? Do you point your finger at a nationality and say, that is the problem for everything? Do you say, this country or this nation are the bad guys? Do you look at people in society and judge them by their appearance? Pretty much everything you see today on social media, everything especially which is promoted by the beast system algorithm, along with psychological operations that are flushed out through these platforms across all countries, seem to exist to turn the audience into what you see in this Spider-Man meme, right? This meme, it usually appears when people are accusing each other of being shills or blaming one another for something or other. This is the blame game. And that game is Satan's game. The false prophet media, powered by Satan, by the dragon, and its goal is to get as many of the inhabitants of the earth to follow the beast, as stated in Revelation. And that is to get people to turn away from God. One way this is done is to turn you into accusers of one another, to get you fighting one another, basically, to turn you against your fellow man and accuse them for the reason of whatever it is that you perceive to be wrong. Usually this is done through the suggestion of fear and exaggeration, even though, as you can see in this image, you are ultimately all the same. They are all your brothers. They are your fellow man. It doesn't matter where they come from, what customs they have picked up along the way, what language they speak. Ultimately, they are all humans. You will see in the comments of so many videos, some will say, when are you going to acknowledge the immigrants flooding into the country? When are you going to talk about the Israel and the JFK files? It was them, etc., etc., and so on. Every time you see this, they are pointing the finger. They are accusing someone or something. They are influencing others to join with them in accusing, into becoming accusers, not realizing that all of these things that they're talking about are created and revealed in order for you to fall into this trap of becoming the accuser. In the UK, there have been endless reports on immigrants coming into the country on boats for years and so forth for a long time. Why do you think there is and still is all this exposure and talk about this? And it's happening, and it's been allowed to happen. Just shown it so that the situation can be used as a scapegoat for cultivating the hatred and the accuser out of you. The false prophet media, it plays a long game. Let's just look at what it states in scripture about the accuser, right? It states that Satan is the accuser who seeks to condemn us. Satan influences you to willingly corrupt yourself, and that condemns you. The very name Satan, it says here, means accuser. Hence we read in Revelation 12:10 about the end times, it states, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser, that being Satan, the accuser of our brethren, meaning your fellow man and your brother, is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. Right? Think of Satan as a prosecutor. Think of it like, it states in scripture, right? It states Satan runs to and fro throughout the earth, prowling the earth, looking for people to devour, meaning to corrupt, right? Think of the false prophet media as an international honey trap set up to encourage people to follow their lusts, to turn them into accusers, to rile them up, to encourage them to fight, against someone or something, to influence them to follow false idols. False idols that are also shown to be clearly corrupt and have values which are the opposite of what Jesus taught. Think of it as a honey trap, right? And then think of Satan as the prosecutor who has been running to and fro throughout the earth to see who is and who is not obeying God. And when he finds someone who isn't and is therefore then under God's wrath, he accuses that person to discredit them before God. So Satan is the accuser of the brethren, right? Of your brothers and sisters. He's also called the deceiver. He's the king of deception, the tempter, and so on. The false prophet media attempts to get man to follow the beast in the end times. I mean, it's why division is created. It's why you've got all of these denominations are created. Stories in the media are invented to provoke arguments, to cause division and fractions in society. Even laws are put in place to provoke conflict in society. Look at the jib jab. Divide and conquer. It's all about turning all sides into accusers of one another. The enemy is real. Spiritual warfare is real, as it states in Scripture. Our struggle is not, it's not against flesh and blood, but against the evil spiritual forces. So it's not against flesh and blood, meaning your fellow man. It's against Satan, the enemy. And Satan works by getting you to fight amongst yourselves, against one another. And this starts by turning you into an accuser, becoming like him. And if you fall for these deceptions and follow your lusts, then you are clearly in alignment with the accuser. Okay? Think of how much stuff you see on the internet and throughout all the mainstream and alternative media which encourages you to gossip, which encourages you to slander people and accuse people of things, people who you don't know, who you have never met, people who you have no idea if whatever it is they are being accused of is true or not. How the same is done in a bigger context when you're talking about nationalities, different races, different countries, etc. It's a honey trap. It's the blame game, and it's set up to turn you into accusers, to discredit you before God, right? Galatians 5:15 warns, if you bite and devour each other, watch out, you'll be destroyed by each other, it states, right? This verse, it highlights the destructive potential of internal conflicts instigated by Satan, instigated through the man-made stories of the false prophet media that people consume as opposed to reading Scripture, right? What does it say in Scripture? What does Jesus say? Jesus says the second most important commandment after loving God with all of your heart is that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love your fellow man. Love your brother. Not accuse them. And all because you saw something on a screen and someone suggested something and it made you a little bit angry. Right? It says in Scripture, I give you a new commandment. Love one another just as I have loved you. You must also love one another. John 13:34. Again, Jesus states that what goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them. One of the commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbour. That's your fellow man. And if you do, you're becoming the accuser. Calling someone a liar, taking a whole nation and labelling them as all criminals. This is the mindset of large portions of the world now. Think about this in regards to the end times, right? Now you have a lot of talk in the press, in the media, in the alternative media about Israel. Now you have the state of Israel, which is a country created by the United Nations and the UK government in 1948. But you also have the covenant called Israel. The covenant called Israel that God originally created with man. It's a covenant. It's an agreement. It has rules. The Ten Commandments, for example, it's a contract, and it's called Israel. It was not the name of a country. You now have a country called Israel, and ironically, the vast majority of the inhabitants of that country have been indoctrinated to not believe in Jesus, right? The concept behind calling the state Israel was to make the world disassociate the name of the original covenant that God has with man and associate it instead with a place, a country. The deception is that the whole world has been deceived into forgetting that Israel is the name of God's covenant agreement with man. It's nothing to do with a place or a region anymore. It's God's covenant with man, which has expanded across the world over the last 2,000 years since Jesus was on the earth. If you really look at scripture, you will see that the term Christian and Jew are the same thing. Watch my video, Who is a Jew, for detailed scriptural proof of this. What you are seeing today in the media, in the alternative media, is the gradual setup of something that uses the original name of God's covenant with man and turning it into a scapegoat for people to hate. This is how Satan gets man to turn against God. And he does it through deception. There is much corruption in the world, and Satan will tell you truths mixed with lies to get you to become an accuser. Don't forget, Jesus told us that we need to have childlike wonder and a childlike faith to get through this. Knowledge of the world and what people believe is secret knowledge, and having all of this insider information and being smart in this sense, a lot of it is usually fueled by Satan, and it gives you a hard heart that will turn you bitter and turn you into an accuser of your fellow man. This is why the false prophet media is always banging on about Israel, because it's a big part of the end times deception. The book of Revelation states that the beast will rise, and an international beast out of the lost faithless people of the world. And at the end, these people who follow the beast, they're going to wage war against Jesus when he returns. Now ask yourself this: who in their right mind would wage war against Jesus? I mean, who's going to do that? Considering that you're waging war against your creator, who would do that? You must be stupid, especially as scripture tells you you're going to lose. You're on a hiding to nothing. Why would anybody do it? Well, it must be because they are deceived into doing it. And scripture also tells you this in advance. It says the false prophet deceives the world into giving allegiance to the beast, basically. It says that. So clearly anyone who joins up to fight against Jesus returning, they'll be deceived into doing this. They will either be led into thinking that Jesus is a threat, is not what he claims to be. I mean, we see this could be the possible reason for all of the UFO propaganda, Trump's Space Force, Musk's SpaceX, right? Okay, and Jesus returns in the clouds, right? These followers of the beast will be deceived into thinking they are fighting against tyranny when they will be rebelling against God, as it states in Revelation 19:19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, that being Jesus, right? Like I said, no one in their right mind would fight against their creator. So the followers of the beast will be deceived into thinking Jesus is the enemy. And if you look today at what is going on in the various news stories and the propaganda being fed out by the false prophet media, you look at them and you see where they're leading, and you can understand what the end game of that influence is. You can see the intention of it. Okay, I hope this is of some help to you. As always, thanks for listening, thanks for your time and your support, and I'll see you in the next video.
Man shall not live by bread alone.
but by every word that proceedeth out from the mouth of God. But by every word that proceedeth out from the mouth of God. Where did you come from? You answered not a word, a prophecy foretold indeed. Where did you come from? No reply was heard. Glory in his destiny. Yeah. Man shall not live by bread alone, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out from the mouth of God. But by every word that proceedeth out from the mouth of God. Man shall